Well, that extends the hearing now. Yes.
Your Honor, can I, sorry, I did not hear that.
I did not know that.
Can I quote the minutes of that particular hearing, Your Honor?
Please go ahead.
And Your Honor, can I have a copy of those minutes?
Yes, of course. This is the minutes from the Committee on Appropriations dated August 14, 2017. Representative Garin, it is several pages, but the last page is actually Representative Green. Now, according to your NCR director, ito yung kailangan. Sabi niya kanina na i-implement na ito 425,000 given na. So kulang pa ng 261,000. Tanggalin natin itong 261,000 doon na lang tayo sa 425,000. Your Honor, Your Honor, hindi po implemented yung NCR. Garin, pero yung balance is 590,000 importers, etc. But that was the particular issue on the dengue vaccine.
Your Honor.
Pressure is put to bear upon you.
Yes, sir. I can quote the deliberations of budget in 2016, dated September 6, 2016, where Congresswoman Gwendolyn Garcia of Cebu repeatedly badgered me and asked me to commit to expand the vaccination program to Region 7. And she said, I will quote, Your Honor, that, Your Honor, Madam Congresswoman, we will look into the suggestion to the third expert panel. Actually, the expert panel that are formulated is already second expert panel. Yes, Madam Secretary, I totally agree with you. But it is already been done by the RLGU. I hope, Madam Secretary, that you will again look into this program, because contrary to my former seatmate, I will not demand that you here now say yes, but I will certainly very active again in the plenary, even in the plenary, to fight for this Region 7 poor school children that need this vaccine. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
That doesn't sound like pressure. That sounds like a congresswoman fighting for her constituency.
There's
dengue vaccine.
Your Honor, there was particular time in the budget hearing that it took us 1 hour. 1 hour. Of exchanges, and I will submit that. And then at the end of that 1 hour exchanges, of questions and badgering me and trying to make me commit to put the expand the implementation of the dengue vaccine to Region 7, that they will defer the budget of the Department of Health if I do not do that.
By the way, why originally it was Region 3, Region 4, Mr. President? Region
4A,
3, Region 4, and
NCR.
NCR. How did it get to Region 7?
That was through the insistence of the member, Representative Garcia, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before I left the Department of Health, there were actually claimors. Why only NCR, Region 3 and Region 4A? Binugbog po ako noon ng mga tawag, especially from Region 6, na taga-Region 6 ka pa naman, taga-Region 8 ka pa naman. Bakit wala yung bakuna dito sa amin? all the decisions were based on the program. However, when the epidemiological data came later, Region 7 showed a high incidence. Kaya po nalagay siya sa pipeline. But let me go back, Your Honor. The documents speak for yourself. For the record, Oscar Garin Jr. is my husband. At hindi po siya member ng Commission on Appointments. Listening to the minutes kanina, what I was hearing was that he was concerned with nabakunahan ng first dose, nabakunahan ng second dose, paano yung third dose? And he was probably conferring with the regional director of NCR, who happened to be a former regional director of Region 6. My point here, Your Honor, is, sino po ba kami para impluwensyahan ang Commission on Appointments? It's an independent body that should not be dragged in pointing accusations to the Department of Health. I came from Congress for 9 years. It is but natural for us to request for the needs of our constituents. That is not threatening. Your Honor, I would respect the personal views of Secretary Ubial, but coming from Senate and then from the Cabinet, we always serve at the disposal of our people and our superiors and whoever appointed us. When President Aquino made me acting secretary, I had one word for him and I asked, Sir, bakit po ako? At pangalawa, hanggang kailan po ako? Ilang buwan po ako? I was ready to go down anytime because yan po ang totoo eh. You serve at the pleasure of the President. If the Commission on Appointments rejects me, I would accept that with whole heart. Kasi baka po iba ang pakay ng Diyos sa akin. When I left government service, it opened me to a lot of horizons. I realized...
Can we get to the point, Ms. Green? Because,
my point here, Your Honor, is the documents speak for itself. Hindi po yan pressure, hindi po siya pinilit, at wala po kaming kinalaman sa Commission on Appointments.
Well, put it this way. I just wanted to close this in a positive note because I thought that there was a lady here who served 32 years in public health, and I thought that she would probably have been treated fairly by retaining her, or maybe, but that was not to be. And while we were in the course of the budget hearings, I remember, and during the first hearings here, I noticed a reticence or some pressure, and this is precisely what I'm trying to avoid here. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Pressure to buy the medicine. Pressure to sell it at all costs in violation of all bidding. Pressure from Sanofi to be able to make its annual earnings so that they can have bonuses for their past CEOs. And I'm being very liberal with my language because that's the business language that I know of the whole world. CEOs do get bonuses when they sell product, in spite of whatever happens. I see pressure when I see people who work for other companies. Now, I don't know if they're masquerading working for the government. And, favoring them. To my mind, we have to stop this. As somebody said the other day, you cannot mix politics with health. We cannot mix politics with health, and I believe it was you who said that. And I respect that. And on that note, I will... Oh, you want to continue?
No, just
I can go until...
just a manifestation, because my understanding is you don't intend to call another hearing.
Well,
because there were some.
I was going to ask for
okay.
the delivery of documents, but I will consult you after this so we can conduct another hearing maybe in January.
Yes.
Is that your pleasure?
No, just the panel of experts that Secretary Ubial mentioned and relied on to pursue the vaccination. If they cannot be invited, maybe they can submit their sworn statements so that we can see the other side.
I think the appropriate question to make right now is, you agree that we should separate FDA and the formulary from any sort of pressure whatsoever from the OH. That's okay, right? Second, I think there should be... Wow, how do I put this? It's hard because the standards upon which we get our medicine must be measured in terms of what is the actual challenge, not just of the time, but of the future. And I don't know how to, I'll have to think about that, and I'm sure my colleagues will here will think about it. But there are other things that we have to put into the table when it comes to remedial legislation. Certainly, before any product comes in, we have to take a look at the record. Remember ZTE? They had records in other countries, and we found that out here. Sanofi had records in other countries, and there are many corporations that have records in other countries. Where do we lay the standard upon which we say stop? Or for that matter, protecting our presidents from meeting with these people without being given the proper heads up on the background of the companies they're going to be meeting. I do not want to see our presidents being exposed to that, and I do not want to see our country being exposed to being beaten about by wealthy countries, especially from Europe or from even the United States. We would like to do the Sunshine Act, patterned after the Sunshine Act of Ted Kennedy, where, as I said, you require pharma companies to publish their research beneficiaries, because there are people who are benefiting from research from the pharma companies, or for that matter, maybe some time separation between getting into office and accepting an office in public service. I guess there are many things we'll have to do, and I guess we'll have to write it down, and I hope my colleagues will not give me a bad time when I submit this, and they will sign it as quickly as we can so we can discuss it on the floor. As it is, I have about 4 or 5 reports in the Blue Ribbon Committee on the floor already, and we want to push it. But that's the nature of the beast. It's a slow-moving beast. You have a question?
Sir, I'd just like to apologize to Dr. Lecciones. I used to work also in the pharma industry. This is not in the interest of maligning him.
That's between the two of you.
Yes, sir. But I'd just like to put on record, sir, we're all here, sir, to work together, and perhaps one of the biggest problems here.
It is a fact that he worked for Adventist, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Adventist, I'm sorry. I told you I'm very bad at names.
Yes, sir. I also disclosed
Thank
that.
you, Freddie.
Sir,
Okay.
sir, I used also to work with Pfizer. The reason why we disclose, because major problem, sir, here is the conflict of interest, and all of these things we are working together for patient safety and crafting the law, the FDA Act, Autonomous Agency, and the Sunshine Act as the full disclosure. Sir, yun yung suggestion namin, sir. But on the record, sir, I'd like to apologize to Dr. Leccion.
That's between the two of you. But to my mind, everybody should have transparency. When they appear, when they accept a job, there should be transparency. So if you want to apologize to him, that's your business, as far as I'm concerned. And Mr. Dance?
Mr. Chairman, since this might be
Dr.
the last,
Dance, I'm sorry.
this might be the last hearing.
Would you like to conduct another hearing?
No,
Are you satisfied?
But I'm hoping we can address.
For the record, I got into this because of our own scientists. I have a great respect for scientists. I've always thought that presidents should look to the academic community for advice, because that way they will be better off. And I'm sure a lot of them do. But I think we really should put together a group. Eddie Angar and I have talked about it. We should always talk to people from the academe and get the advice, and from the preferred sectors.
Yes.
That's why when you guys told us, I came out with and I studied it, I came out with the privilege speech and the resolution. So what is your point now?
Yes, I'm hoping that the Blue Ribbon Committee can address an issue which we haven't discussed a lot today, and that's the patient's right to know. I think that's a major problem in this program, was that patients did not know the risks, and that's their right to know.
That is the whole crux of the problem. I think we will address that, and thank you for reminding us. That is correct. It should not be limited to those who have in life, where they have a private doctor that they can advise them, but it should be the duty of the government to do what it's supposed to do, advise all patients not just in word, but while they're implementing something. We lost one person for sure because Mr. Raul, what's his name? Rafael, John Paul Rafael, because he was not properly told that he could not get a shot when he was sick, and he had high fever, and he just came out of a high fever, and he got inoculated, and he was brought to 2 hospitals until he expired. And on that note, it's very appropriate that we do so. So we will, I will suspend and I will announce whether there will be an adjournment, because I remember that there were some issues put to bear here in the last hearing that talked about, and I was approached by several personalities about equipment not being delivered, about health centers not being finished, and that was part of the program that was submitted. So let me look into that, and let me call it again with the help of Senator Harris. I'd like to thank Senator Harris for his patience, and all the senators here. I'd like to thank WHO. I hope that we can see you more and in an active role here, maybe guide us on legislation as well. I'd like to thank all of you who came down here. I know that it's not easy to wait here for so long. And most of all, I'd like to thank our staff. Thank you. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mr. President.
Sa mga ramo ng media notes.